Have you ever set your alarm for 5 o'clock a.m., with big plans only to hit snooze and wake up at 8, feeling guilty? Maybe you've read that successful people wake up early. Maybe you've tried it yourself, once, twice, maybe 10 times, but you always go back to old habits. You tell yourself, I'm just not a morning person. I need my sleep. But what if I told you that the first hour of your day holds the power to change your entire life? What if one man's story could prove that your destiny is decided before the sun rises? This is the story of a man who had nothing until 5 o'clock a.m. became his secret weapon. Stay with me until the end, because this might be the wake-up call you've been waiting for. In a small industrial town where factories hummed day and night, there lived a 32-year-old man named Daniel. Daniel worked as a night security guard at a textile warehouse. Every evening at 8 p.m., he arrived at the gate. Every morning at 6 a.m., exhausted and drained, he went home to sleep. His salary was barely enough. He lived in a tiny one-room apartment with a broken fan, a mattress on the floor, and a single light bulb that flickered when the power was low. His clothes were old. His shoes had holes. But more than physical poverty, Daniel suffered from something deeper. He felt trapped. Every morning as he walked home past the sleeping town, he saw other people's lives through their windows. Families having breakfast together, children preparing for school, men in clean shirts heading to office jobs. And Daniel would think, will this be my life forever? Walking home while everyone else is waking up to their dreams. He had tried to change. He applied for better jobs, but with only a high school education, every door closed. He wanted to learn new skills, but after working all night, he was too tired to do anything except sleep. His mother, who lived in the countryside, would call him once a week. Daniel, my son, when will your life get better? I'm getting old. I want to see you succeed before I die. Daniel would force cheerfulness into his voice. Soon, Mama. Soon. I'm working on it. But he wasn't, because he didn't know how. The truth that haunted him most was this. He wasn't lazy. He worked hard every night, walking miles, staying alert, doing his duty. But hard work alone wasn't changing anything. He was working hard in a life that was going nowhere. And every morning as he collapsed into bed around 7 a.m., sleeping until 4 o'clock p.m., he felt like he was living backwards. The world moved forward while he slept through it. One thought kept returning like a whisper he couldn't ignore. There has to be another way. But what? One cold Tuesday morning in November, Daniel's phone rang just as he was leaving work. It was his sister. Daniel, you need to come home. Mama collapsed. She's in the hospital. His heart stopped. He took the first bus to his village, a 3-hour journey that felt like forever. When he arrived at the small rural clinic, his mother was in bed, weak but conscious. The doctor said she had fainted from exhaustion and stress. She needed rest, better food, and medicine they couldn't afford. His mother held his hand, her voice barely a whisper. Daniel, I don't have much time left. Please, my son, don't waste your life like I wasted mine. Find a way. Promise me. Daniel sat beside her bed long after she fell asleep. He looked at her wrinkled hands, hands that had worked in fields for decades, just like he worked through nights, both of them struggling but going nowhere. Something inside him cracked. Not with sadness, but with rage. Rage at his own helplessness. He stepped outside the clinic into the pre-dawn darkness. It was 5 o'clock a.m. The village was still asleep, but a few farmers were already walking to their fields. Birds were beginning to sing. The air was cool and fresh, and in that moment, standing in the quiet dawn, Daniel made a decision. No more, he whispered. I won't live like this anymore. I don't care what it takes. I will find a way. On the bus ride back to town, Daniel noticed something. Sitting across from him was a man in his 50s, well-dressed, reading a book, peaceful. Daniel recognized him. Mr. Lee, a successful businessman who owned several shops in town. What shocked Daniel was the time, 6 o'clock a.m. A successful man traveling on a regular bus at dawn. Daniel gathered his courage. Excuse me, sir, why are you on this early bus? Mr. Lee looked up and smiled. Because I wake at 4:30 every morning. I use this time to read, think, and plan my day before the world wakes up. But don't you need sleep? Daniel asked. I sleep at 9 p.m., 7.5 hours. Enough. Mr. Lee studied Daniel's tired face. You work nights? Yes. Security guard. And when do you sleep? Las 7 alto m. To 4 p.m. usually. Mr. Lee nodded slowly. So, you're awake when the world sleeps and asleep when the world works. No wonder you're stuck. He leaned forward. Young man, let me tell you a secret that changed my life 30 years ago. The hours between 5 o'clock a.m. and 7 a.m. Those are magic hours. That's when you can build the life you want while everyone else is still dreaming. Daniel felt something stir inside him. A dangerous thing called hope. But how? I work until 6 o'clock a.m. I need sleep. Then change your sleep, Mr. Lee replied calmly. Sleep when you get home at 6:30. Wake up at 11:30. That's 5 hours, enough to survive. Then live your real life when the world is awake. And when you can shift your work eventually, wake at 5 o'clock a.m. Always. That's the secret. Mr. Lee wrote his phone number on a card. If you're serious about changing your life, call me. I'll show you what to do with those morning hours, but only if you're serious, because it requires discipline most people don't have. The bus reached Daniel's stop. He looked at the card in his hand and made a promise to himself. I'll do it, starting tomorrow. That evening, Daniel did something he had never done in his life. He called Mr. Lee. The next day at 11 a.m., for the first time in years, Daniel was awake during daylight on a weekday. He met Mr. Lee at a small cafe. Mr. Lee looked at him with approval. You actually changed your sleep schedule. Good. Most people talk. You acted. Now I'll teach you what to do with your mornings. Daniel, imagine your life is a house. Right now, your house is dark, cold, and falling apart. Why? Because you never work on the foundation. You're too busy surviving. He drew a simple house, the hours from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock a.m. That's your foundation building time. While everyone else is asleep or just waking up, you're constructing the future. 2 hours every morning, that's 14 hours per week. 60 hours per month, 730 hours per year. He wrote the numbers clearly. That's the equivalent of 91 full workdays, just from waking up early. In 1 year, you get 3 extra months that everyone else wastes sleeping. Daniel's eyes widened. 3 months. Here's what you do with those 2 hours, Mr. Lee continued. This is not negotiable. This is the system. Hour 1. 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. AM build skills. You spend this hour learning something that will change your economic situation. Not watching TV. Not scrolling your phone. Learning a skill, a language, a trade. Online courses are free now. YouTube has everything. You have no excuse. Hour 2, 6 o'clock to 7 a.m. Build body and mind. 30 minutes. Exercise, walk, run, stretch. Your body is your vehicle. If it breaks down, you have nothing. 30 minutes. Read, plan your day, or apply what you learned in hour 1. Daniel wrote frantically in a borrowed notebook. Mr. Lee added 3 rules. Rule 1. No negotiation. You wake at 5 a.m. every single day, including weekends. No, just today I'll skip. That's how you fail. Rule 2. Sleep by 9 o'clock p.m. You can't cheat. Sleep and succeed. Your body needs rest, but you control when you rest. Rule 3. The first week will be hell. Your body will hate you. Your mind will create excuses. Push through. After 21 days, it becomes normal. After 90 days, it becomes who you are. Mr. Lee looked at Daniel seriously. I'm giving you 3 months. 3 months of waking at 5 a.m. Building skills in hour 1. Building yourself in hour 2. After 3 months, call me back to me. Show me what you've built. If you've actually done the work, I'll help you find a better job. If you quit, don't bother calling. Success goes to people who show up when it's hard. Daniel felt the weight of the challenge, but also, for the first time in years, he felt something else. I'll do it, he said firmly. I won't quit. We'll see, Mr. Lee said with a knowing smile. Everyone says that. The next morning, Daniel's alarm screamed at 5 a.m. His entire body protested. His mind whispered, just 1 more hour. You're so tired. But he remembered his mother's face in the hospital. Mr. Lee's challenge. His own promise. He threw off the blanket and stood up. The first week was agony. Daniel dragged himself awake each morning, his body aching from lack of sleep. At 5 a.m., while it was still dark, he sat at his small table with his phone, watching free Excel tutorials on YouTube. His eyes burned. His mind wandered. But he didn't stop. At 6 a.m. he forced himself to walk around his neighborhood for 30 minutes. Then he read articles about accounting, a skill he had chosen to learn because every business needed it. By 7:30 a.m., he went to bed, slept until 2 p.m., and prepared for his night shift at 3 p.m. The cycle repeated. It was exhausting. It was lonely. Nobody understood why he was doing this. But something changed around day 20. One morning, Daniel woke up at 4:58 a.m., 2 minutes before his alarm. His body had adapted. And for the first time, he didn't feel resentment. He felt ready. The first time Daniel posted a video, nothing happened. 10 views. 2 likes. 1 comment from his sister that said, "Proud of you." The second video got 15 views. The third got 8. For a moment, Tao tried to return. Maybe this is stupid. Maybe I'm wasting my only free hour. But then he remembered the hospital room. He remembered his mother's weak voice. And he remembered the promise he made at 5 a.m. So he kept going. Every single morning at 5 a.m., Daniel woke up. No excuses. No snooze button. He studied for 30 minutes and created content for 30 minutes. Some mornings he felt energized. Some mornings he felt like quitting. But he showed up anyway. That was the difference. Not motivation. Discipline. After 30 days, something small happened. One of his videos reached 1,000 views. It wasn't viral. It wasn't but it was proof. Proof that someone out there was listening. Comments started appearing. This helped me. I didn't know this. Can you make more? For the first time in his life, Daniel felt valuable, not just as a worker, but as a creator. 3 months later, his channel crossed 10,000 subscribers. A company reached out to sponsor one of his videos for $200. It was more than he earned in several nights of guarding the warehouse. When he received that first online payment, he stared at the screen in disbelief. It wasn't luck. It wasn't magic. It was 90 mornings of showing up at 5 a.m. Daniel didn't quit his job immediately. Smart. He kept working nights while building his new path at dawn. He reinvested every dollar into better equipment, online courses, and savings for his mother's treatment. Within a year, his income from content creation and freelance digital work surpassed his security guard salary. The day he finally resigned from the warehouse, he arrived not at 8 p.m., but at 5 p.m. to hand in his letter. The manager looked shocked. "You're one of our most reliable guards. Why leave?" Daniel smiled calmly. "Because I stopped guarding this gate and started guarding my time." He moved his mother to the city for better medical care. He rented a small but clean apartment with sunlight pouring through real windows. He bought her proper medicine, proper food, proper rest. One morning, as they sat together having breakfast, his mother looked at him and said, "You look different." Daniel laughed. "I wake up earlier now." She shook her head. "No. You wake up with purpose." Years later, when people asked Daniel about his success, they expected a secret strategy, a hidden hack, a shortcut. He would always tell them the same thing. My life changed at 5 a.m. not because of the time itself, but because that was the only hour the world couldn't steal from me. While others slept, I built. While others complained, I learned. While others waited, I started. Here's the truth. Most people don't fail because they are untalented. They fail because they never control the first hour of their day. They wake up reacting instead of creating. They scroll instead of studying. They rush instead of reflecting. Daniel was not special. He was tired. He was broke. He was afraid. But he made one decision in the quiet darkness before sunrise. And that single decision, repeated every day, changed everything. So tomorrow morning, when your alarm rings, you will face the same choice. Daniel faced comfort or change, sleep or strategy, excuses or execution. The sun will rise either way. The only question is,